Everyone assumes that Sheldon was the most impressive person in his family. After all, he's a literal genius. He skips grades, understands concepts that adults struggle with, and is constantly treated like the center of attention. But if you actually look at what happens throughout young Sheldon, there's a strong argument that the most mature character in the entire show wasn't Sheldon at all. It was Georgie. At first, that sounds ridiculous. Georgie is introduced as the stereotypical older brother. He skips school, chases girls, and doesn't take academics seriously. Compared to Sheldon, he looks like the least impressive member of the family, and because the show is framed around Sheldon's perspective, it's easy to accept that idea without questioning it. But maturity isn't about test scores or IQ. It's about how someone handles real situations, especially when things go wrong. And when you start looking at the show through that lens, Georgie stands out in a way that's hard to ignore. One of the clearest examples of Georgie's maturity comes later in the series when he finds out that his girlfriend Mandy is pregnant. This is a situation that would completely overwhelm most teenagers, and to be honest, Georgie initially reacts the way you'd expect. He panics, he lies about his age, he makes mistakes, but what separates him from everyone else is what happens after that. Instead of running away from the situation, he takes responsibility, he stays involved, he supports Mandy, he prepares to become a father, even though he's clearly not ready. That shift from avoidance to accountability is one of the most realistic portrayals of growth in the entire show. And what makes that even more significant is the contrast with Sheldon. Sheldon is brilliant, but he's almost never forced into situations that require that kind of emotional responsibility. When things get uncomfortable, Sheldon tends to retreat into logic. He treats problems like puzzles to solve, rather than experiences to navigate. Georgie doesn't have that option. His problems aren't theoretical. They're real, immediate, and messy. And he still steps up. Another moment that highlights Georgie's maturity is how he handles work and independence. While Sheldon is focused entirely on academics, Georgie starts working at a young age. He doesn't just do it for fun. He does it because he understands the value of money and independence. When he starts working at Dale's sporting goods store, you see a completely different side of him. He's responsible, he's motivated, he takes initiative, and eventually he becomes genuinely good at it. He builds relationships, understands customers, and starts to carve out a path for himself that doesn't rely on anyone else. That's something Sheldon never really develops. Sheldon is used to being supported by systems designed around his intelligence. Georgie has to build his own path from scratch. And that process forces him to grow in ways that Sheldon doesn't. Georgie also shows a level of emotional awareness that's consistently overlooked. Throughout the series, there are multiple moments where he recognizes when his family is struggling, even if he doesn't always express it perfectly. After George Sr.'s death, something that is heavily implied and later confirmed in the timeline, Georgie is the one who takes on a massive amount of responsibility. He helps support the family financially. He becomes a stabilizing presence for his mother and sister. He doesn't have the luxury of breaking down or focusing only on himself. He has to hold things together. And that's one of the most defining aspects of maturity, doing what needs to be done, even when it's difficult. What's interesting is that Georgie doesn't become mature because he's naturally more disciplined or intelligent. He becomes mature because he's forced to deal with real consequences. Every mistake he makes has weight. When he lies about his age to Mandy, it doesn't just go away. It creates long-term complications. When he takes on responsibility, he has to follow through. There's no safety net designed specifically for him, and because of that, he develops resilience. Meanwhile, Sheldon's environment is constantly adjusted to accommodate him. Teachers make exceptions. His family reorganizes their lives around his needs. And while that makes sense given his abilities, it also limits his growth in certain areas. Sheldon doesn't need to develop emotional intelligence in the same way. because he's rarely in situations where it's required. Another example of Georgie's maturity is how he handles conflict. He doesn't always get it right, but he learns. Whether it's arguments with his parents, tension with Mandy, or disagreements with others, Georgie gradually becomes better at communicating and understanding different perspectives. He starts to think beyond himself. He considers the impact of his actions on other people. Sheldon, on the other hand, often struggles with this. He prioritizes correctness over empathy. He focuses on being right rather than being understanding. And while that's part of what makes his character unique, it also highlights the gap between intelligence and maturity. One of the most underrated aspects of Georgie's character is that he doesn't need recognition to do the right thing. Sheldon's achievements are constantly acknowledged and celebrated. Georgie's growth is quieter. It happens in the background. There's no moment where everyone stops and says, "Georgie has become the most mature person in this family." But if you watch closely, that's exactly what happens. He becomes dependable. He becomes responsible. And most importantly, he becomes someone others can rely on. At its core, young Sheldon presents two very different types of intelligence. Sheldon represents academic brilliance, the ability to understand complex ideas and solve difficult problems. Georgie represents practical intelligence, the ability to navigate real life, handle responsibility, and adapt to changing situations. And while academic intelligence is impressive, it's not always what determines success or stability in the real world. Maturity does. The ability to take responsibility, support others, and make difficult decisions is what defines someone over time. That's why Georgie's character is so important. He shows that growth doesn't always look like getting smarter. Sometimes it looks like becoming more reliable, more accountable, more aware of the people around you. So while Sheldon may have been the smartest person in the Cooper family, Georgie was the one who actually grew up, and in the end, that's what makes him the most mature character in the entire show.